Hello, Global Theater. My name is Jerry Fielka. Today is Feb 19, 2023. We want to thank Rob Grant and his amazing podcast. I'm probably wrong about everything. It's an honor and a pleasure to be here with Justyna Kosmulska. I know I'm not pronouncing that correctly, and I apologize. Tell us how to correctly pronounce it, please.
That was correct. That was beautiful. Thank you, Jerry. My name is Justyna Kosmulska, and I'm ringing from Ireland, although I am originally Polish.
How cool is that? I'm half Polish and half Czech, so we'll have a ball. The first question is, what is the best thing for a human being?
Music.
Yeah.
Yeah, music. The
I can
ability
agree.
to recognize, make, and enjoy music.
Recognize, make, and enjoy. Beautiful. What's your favorite form of information? How it comes into you?
Gut feeling.
Gut feeling. That is great. And why do you think humans collect or gather information?
You know what? Have you read Hitchhiker's Guide to Galaxy?
I know about it. I haven't read it, but
Well,
tell me
you
about
have to. If you're a Frank Zappa fan, you definitely have to. This is very Zappa style. This is like Zappa of literature.
it. Yeah.
It's really free thinking and new ways of looking at world. And one of the theories there was, well, that's basically the idea of the book, that Earth and humans on it are one giant computer created to get the answer on the ultimate question about the universe, life, and everything. So we gather information because all together we are one giant, I don't know, not machine, but organism that gathers information, and together it's evolving. It's like one drop in the universe, but if there are many, then we're all information. Like the fact that we are here and we are using language and thinking, this is information. Everything is information. And you know what? My husband, who is IT, he told me what is information, but actually he told me that in Polish. Różniczka zupełna po prawdopodobieństwie. So I can. This is mathematic terms. What is information? It's a no, something after probability, but I can't. I don't actually know these terms in English. But he told me this definition of information, and I was like, whoa, yeah, this is it.
So you're saying the definition of information in Poland, in Polish, defines it bigger, but it's hard to translate those words into English.
I should probably Google how the words are in English.
But no, you can put it in the chat in the comments later. But that's basically really important. And I have seen a film of Hitchhiker's Guide. That's who you're talking about.
The film doesn't. Well, it's fun. The film is fun. Yeah. I love the film. I love Martin.
But it doesn't catch the essence of the book. You're saying
no. It's a different thing. Like the fact that the film is made on all 5 books. Like it's basically made on the first book, but then there are elements of all the other books. And I think the screenplay people that they did a fabulous job. Like that was an impossible book, really.
Yeah.
But it is fun, and it is kind of a whole epic one work of art, like this movie.
Yeah.
Like I'm really into movies, to be honest. I think movies are kind of modern books, and even now, my children who are teenagers, they do not watch the whole movies, like entire movies. They don't have time or enough attention span. So I think my generation is like, movies are our books. We don't have that much time to read everything. I love reading. I kind of grew up on reading, but movies take less time, but but they kind of compress the same amount of knowledge and cultural links to kind of give you something. The good movie is something that makes you think, yeah, that stays with you. And
That's really good.
that's like
There's
a book.
there's a great joke too. Hitchcock and McLuhan's favorite joke is two goats are eating film coming out of a film can, like in a back lot over here in MGM in Hollywood. And one goat turns to the other and says, "The book was better."
Yeah, goats can eat everything.
But I love everything you said there. Just to backtrack for a second, you said Douglas Adams that all the earth and humans were trying to answer the ultimate question. Does he define what the ultimate question is, or is that vague?
That's the thing. The life, universe, and everything. There has been, by the ancient ones, created a giant computer. And the computer came up with the answer after millions of years. And the answer was 42, which is a significant number. The answer to this question is 42. But before the computer came up with the answer, the question got lost. So Earth was created. So the computer said to retrieve the question, you have to construct another computer that will retrieve the question. So Earth is that computer with all its living beings on it, but it's run by mice. Yeah, so that's why I think you're going to love the book. If you
I know,
you're going to love the book.
I know, but basically, he in the big picture over the 5 books, he doesn't really define the question.
Yeah,
does he?
That's it.
He doesn't.
Here to find the question. We have the answer. It's 42.
Right, but he doesn't.
Because I'm 42 and I stopped being 42 in 2 weeks.
Oh my God, your age is 42. But see, this is a great McLuhan line. He says everybody's running around saying they got the answer, but what is the question? So he basically presaged Douglas Adams with that statement. So
who said that?
Marshall McLuhan.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, so now is this need or want to collect information more innate or more invented by humans?
Oh, that's innate. That's definitely innate. The push, it's natural. I can't stop. I keep researching, even if it's not like for any project. I keep researching. I really enjoy finding new information, like today I have listened a new Frank Zappa like single. Like somebody found the live recordings from Germany and from I don't know where, but anyway, today just appeared new album of Frank Zappa, new single. That's amazing. That's new information. And then through this album, I found another like original hippie. His name was Eden Arbes or something like that.
Yeah, he was homeless in Venice. He wrote the greatest love song of all time, Nature Boy.
Yeah. So I came across this album and I listened to it in the whole entirety of it. And I started researching about him and like, wow, this is really something. I can't stop. I kind of find something, some spark, and then I follow it, and the thing, that gathering, that's life. That's every second is information.
Very good. Do thoughts create emotions?
No.
Wow, that's heavy. Okay. I don't know what I think until I fill in the blank.
Yeah, write it.
I
agree with I know.
Joan
I see.
Yeah, Joan Didion. Yeah. Joan Didion says, I don't know what I think until I write it. McLuhan says, I don't know what I think until I say it. Can humans think without language?
No.
Wow.
Definitely.
Chomsky says that a language is not just words, it's culture, a tradition, a unification of community, a whole history that creates what a community is. What do you do when language breaks down? When language doesn't work, what do you do?
I sing.
Sing.
Yeah, I go and sing it out and howl at the moon, and then I take instrument. If I can't sing, if my throat is sore or something, I take any instruments. Like my room is full of instruments here, and
Yeah.
it's even sometimes I go with the flow. I just take whatever. Like I take the flute, I take mandolin, whatever I have there. It's
Nice.
just I feel the need to do it from time to time, and when I'm not doing it long enough, it just bursts.
Wow. Okay, is your observations of humans in general, I know it's both and it depends. Are we more thinking beings or more feeling beings?
We're both.
Yeah,
Definitely, we're both. Like
yeah,
you can't have one without the other.
yeah. Two questions from Alan Turing in 1950s. Is thinking a function of the soul?
Yes. Not exactly. I like this question because it made me think. I was watching back some of your some of these podcasts,
Yeah,
and everybody said something different on this. I
yeah,
I I love Turing. I love Chomsky. Like I had lots of Chomsky on while studying Polish. I studied language and other languages too. I love learning languages. But also, I like mathematics, and I came across Turing, and I bought this lovely toy for my son, Turing Tumble. It's right there. It was a Christmas gift, and this Turing Tumble, this toy, made me like computers.
yeah,
And you know what? The soul doesn't have a function.
yeah,
That's my answer. It
yeah,
doesn't have a function. The soul is there just for being.
yeah,
It's not for anything.
yeah,
It's not made to do anything.
yeah.
It's just there. It is.
It's good. That's really good. That's Beckett when he said about Finnegan's Wake, it's not about something, it is that something. It's not about it. It's not a description of a dream. It is a dream. So that's really close to the soul. The second Turing question is, can machines think?
We don't know that yet.
Yeah.
We don't know. We were trying to do it. My husband is IT. He's
Yeah.
really researching, and he wants to kind of be melted into a machine. You know,
Yeah.
he wants to join a machine. He says it's
Yeah.
his dream. So to be able to think, process
Yeah.
without the body. Like,
Yeah.
have you seen the movie Lucy?
Without body. Wait, to think without body, that's so heavy.
That is
Lucy. No, I don't think I've seen Lucy. I've seen, you mean the film where
Scarlett
Rib,
Johansson.
yeah, no, I've seen that. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's one of my favorite movies
No,
because
it's very good. It's very good. Yeah.
it shows you a different levels of consciousness, like
Yeah.
and and kind of higher levels of consciousness are these creative levels when you can change reality. And I think we as artists are kind of on the higher level than so-called normal people.
Yeah.
Watching Lucy made me think that, you know, this gut feeling that I said, it's my favorite information gathering
Yes. Yes.
way. Uh, the gut feeling and intuition is kind of this higher level where you can create, where you have no fear that something
Yeah.
will be wrong, but you just feel it. That's the way it should be, and you feel you have influence on that.
Yep. That's
That's
good.
for me this higher level of consciousness, but it still needs the body. It needs the senses. It kind of transcends the senses a little bit, but it still needs our seeing, hearing, and touch, you know. But my husband says that it will be possible to kind of go around the senses and go into the pure logic, like the neurons in the brain, with the right connections, it will be possible.
Yeah, no, I mean, it happened this week when the guy interviewed Bing AI, you know, the New York Times guy. Anyways, it's a big news item because he interviewed chat for 2 hours, and then the chatbot said, "I love you." And he felt he was like talking to Hal in 2001. So it became a big item in the news this week. If you haven't seen it, go watch him talk. Kevin Roose, Roose. Your husband must have seen it. If he doesn't, he's got a Roose, Kevin. Just Google it, and he talks all about it almost getting to that point that it scared him. But anyways.
Yeah, Hal was scary. I remember. I think I was too young to watch the Space Odyssey.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was too young. It was kind of.
Do you more pursue happiness or more pursue meaning?
I don't pursue anything like.
That is I love your use of really listening to the verbs. Okay, let's move on because you're really good at this. Does the brain more detect consciousness or create it? Like, is consciousness there bubbling away and we're detecting it, or are we creating it?
I'd be more into creating it.
Yeah. Really. What's faster, speed of light or speed of thought?
Thought. Definitely.
Thought. Yeah.
I can't catch it. No, I can't catch it. Like, you can count the light speed. Yeah. You can set 2 points.
Yeah.
And count the speed. You can't count thought. You can't.
Nope. You're very smart, and I appreciate this because there's no right or wrong answers, but that one you got right.
Oh, I don't think there's right or wrong. Like,
yeah, I know what you're saying, but I mean, it's a joke. So Audre Lorde, the poet, said, "You can't dismantle the master's house using the master's tools." Yvonne Rainer responded and said, "You can if you expose the tools." What new tool do you suggest?
I'd be against dismantling the master's house.
Say it again.
I would be against dismantling the master's house.
Oh, you're against dismantling the master's house. Well, put that quote aside. What new tool do you suggest in general?
Art.
Yeah, that's good.
Any form of art. It's a brilliant tool. Art helps with life. Art helps with emotions. Art helps with health, you know.
Yeah. Very good. What do you worry about when you go to bed at night?
That I haven't done everything. Every day I have really high expectations to myself. I think I demand too much of myself, and my days are so full. I wish I could sleep faster. You know that Arnold Schwarzenegger broke the internet saying sleep faster, like, 6 hours a day. And I tried. It's my biggest experiment to, sleep 6 hours a day. But then after a few days of 6 hours, there are days where I just need 10 or 14 hours of sleep. And I do that.
Wow. Well, that was good. There's a great Bob Dylan line that's sort of similar. He says, "Don't ever tell anyone everything you know." Because, like, if we met at a party and we're talking like blah, 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 I would want you to tell me everything you know, and then I want to tell you everything I know. You can't do it, but you get that excitement. McLuhan learned from Ezra Pound that artists are the antenna of the race. They're broadcasting and detecting the hidden psychic effects of our inventions, so we might be able to cope with what we don't like about our inventions. So I asked you the question Marshall probed his whole career. Why do we ignore the hidden psychic effects of our inventions, even though the artists are broadcasting them to us?
Okay, that's a big question. I like that quote, but I, as an artist, I'm not about broadcasting. I'm more about leaving a trace.
Yeah.
You know, it's not about, like, I could criticize, I have observations and I want to share them with the world, but it's not like I need it right now to get to you, so that everyone can see this. I just want
Right.
to share what I think, because I need this, because I need to get it out.
Because
You
you
know?
need to get it out. But
Yeah.
there's a little, if you do that, you get it out. And indeed, it does expose some learning to someone. Why do people in general ignore this getting outness that artists are putting out?
Ah, you put that beautifully now.
Yeah.
Because they are different. Everyone is different, and they might not understand, or they might not need to hear it. You know,
Yeah.
they can be like, people are looking for things in life, and they are looking particularly for things that answer their questions, or that
Yeah.
resonate with their feelings. And that is life. That is the way between all these meanders, all these messages. And when you find something that you're particularly drawn to, then you stay with it, and
Yeah.
go with it. And when you see something, like, there's lots of information that is not necessary, like,
Yeah.
that we can ignore. So I think that's why people ignore those things, because they think it unnecessary.
Yeah. Well, here's a quote from a poet that I can't understand, but I'd love to hear your feelings on it. Fanny Howe is her name. The point of art is to show people that life is worth living by showing that it isn't.
That's beautiful. But I don't agree.
You don't agree. That's good. Okay, let's move on.
I
Do
would take
artists
out, no, I would just take out the last part of it.
do
Okay,
what?
then I would just take out the last part of it, by
Oh,
showing
yeah,
that
you
it
would
is.
just say the point of art is to show people that life is worth living. Yeah, very
Yeah,
good.
that's it.
Okay,
That's me.
do artists have moral obligation?
At some point, yes,
Yeah.
we do.
Are you more afraid of new ideas or more afraid of old ideas?
I'm never afraid of ideas. Ideas are the things that excite me.
Yeah.
Old or new, I love ideas. I had the
Good.
reputation of a girl with 1,000 ideas per minute since I was 10.
Wow. Can you conjure up your earliest memory ever or one of them?
Yes, I can, actually. Um, so, one of my family members was diagnosed with depression. So, he started therapy, and he asked me to try it with him. What helped him with depression in the end was hypnotherapy, which is kind of surprising. And he asked me to take few hypnotherapy sessions as well, because depression is not just one person's illness. It affects the whole family. It is hard to say, but actually the whole family, if there is one person with depression in the family, the whole family needs therapy sessions. It is true, unfortunately. So I agreed to do a few hypnotherapy sessions, and on one of the sessions, I came back to the image of me being born, and I saw
Wow.
myself being born and seeing the world for the first time and kind of seeing me from the outside. I think if I was able to see that, that, you know, that all those layers of being, you know, both physical and astrophysical, astral body, I must have had a look at myself when I was born because it came back as a memory. Maybe it was also influence of the pictures that I saw, but you know,
Yeah.
I wasn't actually being born. I was held by my mom in
Yeah.
this brightly lit hospital room, and there were people in that room, and I saw my eyes, and I was kind of dressed up in a white cap and a white clothes, and I was so tiny, and I saw, but they were my eyes. I could see myself, like literally this small, you know, that was amazing. And I saw that through the hypnotherapy session. I saw that kind of in my mind, like inside myself. it's
That is heavy.
it
That's
is
like,
it is something you can't really describe, but
well,
I was trying to.
you described it really well, because also it evoked, you know, Captain Beefheart, one of Frank Zappa's cohorts. He
Yeah.
said when he came out of the womb, he says, I want to go back in.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible. But you know what? Like, I mean, it's possible that a child wants it, you know, like,
Yeah.
because I have 3 children. I've been pregnant 3 times. I've gone
Yeah.
through this 3 times. And
Yeah.
every time it was so wonderfully different. And every time it was such a spiritual experience. And yeah, especially my eldest son, who had
Wow.
birthday yesterday, when he was a little baby, we knew he can see things. He can see different realities, like on the ceiling. He was kind of very spiritual when he was a small baby, you know. We knew he sees things that we don't see.
Wow. Okay, so is memory more a curse or more a blessing?
Why do you want to categorize that?
That is a good response. We don't. Well, let's move on. Tell me someone within your immediate family who had an impact on you, kind of like a role model, just briefly, and what was that impact? Then outside your immediate family.
Okay, so my family, my grandma.
What did you get from her mainly?
It's my dad's mom,
Yeah.
and she was ruling the family. So she was a doctor, a female doctor. She had really thick glasses. Her glasses were like this
Yeah.
thick, like really big glasses. Uh, she gained much in life. She had her own apartment. She had a house full of clothes and beautiful things. She traveled a lot. She was very independent woman and very thinking. We had exactly the same sizes, the same figure. And she used to dress me up when I was a kid and teenager. She and my mom would put me in the middle of the room, and they would dress me up in various clothes. Until today, I love dressing up, and I think I have it after her. And the things like, oh, you can tell a lady by her shoes, you know, or
Yeah.
yeah, I was brought up to be a young lady, which I discovered recently that I have some kind of noble roots. And well, there were really big figures in the family. I don't want to brag, but
That's good. No, that was a good description.
but
Now,
my grandma, she was amazingly elegant and
yeah.
versed in the world. And I used to bring all my boyfriends to her just to, you know, for tea. And she would say, oh, this one is great. Uh, like, take that one. Oh, don't believe that one. He's like, I know it sounds very judgmental, but yeah,
No, no.
she was very insightful. And as a doctor, she has seen a lot in life. And she was very
No, you,
choosy when it comes to friends.
yeah.
But she taught me a lot. She taught me a lot.
Yeah,
I wanted to be like her when I was not like my mom. I wanted to be like my grandma.
yeah. You explained it well. That was good. Now, outside your immediate family, same question.
My role models outside my, like there
Well,
is,
just one briefly. Yeah.
okay, so there is one Polish poet
Yeah.
which I particularly like. His name is Edward Stachura, and he was called Sted, Sted, Sted. You can
Yeah.
Google him.
Yeah.
He was kind of a Polish beatnik,
Yeah.
but he went around the world. Particularly, he was in South America. He went into Argentina, Mexico. Yeah, he wrote a lot. He wrote poetry and he wrote prose and he wrote that everything is poetry.
Yeah.
Everybody is a poet.
Yeah.
His way of speaking, his language, like he could write anything and then he would say, this is poetry. And he was translating a lot of poets. Actually, his first language was French. He was born in France to a Polish family, but we share the immigration experience, and I think that's brilliant. You know, the being bilingual kind of influences the personality. Well, I chose immigration when I was grown up, like it was my life adventure. But he was born somewhere else, and then came to another country. So
That's
yeah.
good. I would definitely look into them. I really appreciate that. Did your parents raise you a particular religion?
Yes, I've been brought up as a Roman Catholic, and I have to say, I came back to it. I am very conscious Roman Catholic and very, I'd say, yeah, I have a personal relationship with Jesus.
Yeah.
And that means a lot to me.
Good.
And I would say that religion is not a private matter, like golf or a hobby. It's never a private matter.
That's good. If God does exist, what would you like God to say to you after you die?
Hi, sweetheart.
That is beautiful. Do evil people exist, or does evil use people as a vehicle?
Oh, yeah, I've been waiting for that question. Definitely the second part. Evil is
Really?
using people as a vehicle,
Yeah.
and I've experienced that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is real. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, no. I think that's enough. Like, yeah.
Yeah, this is sort of the hidden question is how do you advise someone to deal with an enemy? And first, some thoughts. Alan Watts says, if you acknowledge your enemy, you empower them. Coppola stole from the samurai and the mobs. Keep your friends close and your enemies closer. JFK said, forgive your enemy, but don't forget their name. And Fellini says, I need an enemy. So it's a lot of thoughts. The basic question is how do you advise someone to deal with an enemy? But first, how would you respond to Alan Watts? If you acknowledge your enemy, you empower them.
Yeah, that is, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But that question, I don't know. You probably don't know, but that is very, very, very on time right now, today, because today's gospel is love your enemy, forgive your enemy. If he hits you one side, give him the other side. If he asks for your tunic, give him your cloak. That's it. That's today.
Wow. That is heavy. So James Joyce was the first projectionist in Dublin 100 years ago. He basically checked out. He said, this is stupid. Why should I go inside a building and see a movie of a tree when I can go outside and see a real tree? Years later, Faulkner said, sometimes the best fiction is more true than journalism. Why do we have to recreate things in order to get them? Why do we have to go to a theatrical play of people acting out life? Why don't we just live life?
Why do we write books? Why do we chat on the internet instead of, traveling and meeting eye to eye? Yeah. That's my theory is that is what differs us from animals, the storytelling.
Yeah.
I I was invited to a storytelling festival, and I've done some research, and I've found some stories to join the Irish mythology with the Polish one. That was amazing, and I've learned some from the storytellers, and they've learned something from me, and it was an exchange. So I think stories are what differentiates us from other species. This information, this collective memory, this giving the stories from generation to generation, that is very human nature, I'd say.
Yeah.
So movies come from the same urge. Like, so Joyce said that he doesn't need to go to the movies, and why did he write books?
Right.
You know, I know his books are not stories. And in fact, when I was on that reading of Finnegan's Wake, I was like so overjoyed. I was like reading, and like, this is nothing like I've ever read before. Like, this is so brand new and so wonderful. Like, it was like literally, it was a child's infatuation. I was like having fun with that, with these words. Like he was having fun writing them, I suppose. So that is us. That's what we need to do. That's what we feel the need to do.
Yeah. There's a experimental filmmaker, Hollis Frampton, who said, narrative is born among the animal necessities of the spirit because we're waiting to die. Can you forget to die?
Oh, yes, you can forget to die. Like in the moment that you enjoy life thoroughly. Like, sometimes this moment of happiness is when you forget to die. When you, like, I don't know, have the best orgasm in your life, you forget to die. Like,
yeah, that's heavy.
We are reminded about death all the time, but to
Yeah.
forget to die is happiness.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty good. Best orgasm is when you're forgetting to die. That's like Richard Bardot said, when I make love, I don't think. It's like, how can you I mean, I'm interested because it seems as though you're like me. Our brains are always busy, always thinking. And then people meditate, they go, well, think about not thinking. So it's like,
I don't meditate. I pray. And when I pray, it's different. I don't do yoga. Like, I go to church instead of that. And then it's the one place where nobody requires thinking from me or doing anything, But I do think, of course I do think, and I do feel, but I'm not thinking about the outer things. I am thinking about me, about God and how he relates to me. But I was going to say something that you said earlier. So between thinking and not thinking, you said that we're thinking all the time because that's the nature.
But yeah, you can't. It's like well, you answered it well at the beginning when I said, are we more thinking or feeling beings? 80% of people say we're more feeling beings, but we can't really separate feeling from thinking, but we think we can because we invented the words. And we think, oh, well, that's thinking and that's feeling, but they're so intertwined, you can't really separate them. So we want words to work, but they don't always work, and we have to still deal with how they don't work.
Yeah, but because when I'm feeling with words as well.
Yeah.
That is kind of a sensitivity. When I was studying Polish, there was one teacher. He was our poetry teacher and poetic art teacher. Like, he was teaching us about all the little things and tricks that you can use in poetry to make it better. But in the end, when I gave him my poems, he didn't say, oh, you've used this and you've used that, and that's a good technique stuff. No, he said, oh, that's the sensitivity I was looking for. So in the end, poem comes into being when I feel something in words. Say I took a bus at night, and there was a guy sitting in front of me who had funny hair, and I saw one strand of hair, and I started thinking about this strand of hair, and I wrote a poem on this strand of hair because I felt something when I saw it.
Yeah.
That's it. We're feeling with words as well. So
Yeah.
so
Yep.
can't separate
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. So now walk us through your tipping point where you decided to be, the calling for you was playing music, was music as an educator and a player as a musician. Now, just to clarify, do you songs, both the music and words? Are you a composer also?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Well,
So where was that tipping point? Your parents are what, playing music around the house, and they're telling you to study music, and just walk us through briefly up to college. What did you study? Go ahead. Yeah.
okay. So yeah, that's difficult a bit because I was always writing. I could read when I was 4, so I wrote my first poem when I was 5, I think. So it started with words, but also my grandma used to play piano. My dad played piano and guitar, but they were not professionals. They were always doing it as a kind of a hobby, yeah. So when my grandma was playing, the other grandma, not the elegant grandma,
Yeah.
my mom's grandma, she used to play piano, and I would sit down and just, play this one finger when I was 2. And I was so excited that I pissed the chair. So I put the chair, I got another chair, and I sat down and played again. So my mom was like, why was the chair wet? So that was exciting about music. So words and music, they come together. You cannot separate them. And so the story is that I started playing piano on my own. I just heard melodies, and when I was bored, we had no computers when we were small, yeah. So I just sat at the piano and I started hearing melodies, and I started playing with one hand. And then my dad said, oh, you can add this, add that. And my dad could play from the ear. He was not musically trained or educated, but he knew the chords. He learned himself on the piano, and he learned himself on the guitar. So when I was about, I think, 10, I asked my parents. No, that was earlier. I was second class of primary school. It was like 6 or 7. I asked them, could you send me to music school, please? I said, I want to go. Oh, I know. It was First Holy Communion. And we learned this awfully difficult song written for Eucharistic Congress in 1988. And they were teaching that awfully complicated song to the little children that were 8. And we learned that song. And that's the song that I unscrambled on my grandma's piano. And that's when I said, okay, I hear the world. I want to go to music school. And then I learned, I can't take the piano with me. So I took the little flute, and we went for a school trip for a week. Yeah. And I had the little flute with me, and I sat down looking at the mountains, and I started, okay, this is how you do it. And just the music started flowing. I discovered I can play songs by ear. And then, music wasn't treated in my family as something you can do for money. And I think that's the mistake of today's world, that, you have to get a job, buy a house, start a family, have children, instead of pursuing what you love the most.
Yeah.
And it was not until I was 30, 35 that so I studied piano for 6 years as an after school activity. I was going there 4 or 5 times a week, and it really expanded my brain, I'd say. Music really, really develops thinking and intelligence. And so I studied music for 6 years, the piano, classical piano. And then I decided, no, I'm not going to sacrifice my life. I'm going to learn the guitar. I'm going to be, not miss all the parties, and I'm going to live. And so I learned the guitar, and I could take the guitar everywhere. So parties, fires, scout holidays and stuff. So I learned the guitar, and then I met my husband, and we had children. And then we decided to go to Ireland as our life adventure. And being here in Ireland, I decided I got the piano. after 18 years of graduating the music school, I decided, okay, I'm ready to have my own piano. And my husband said, will you teach the children on the piano? I said, yeah, of course, get me a piano and I will teach them music. And then I decided I want to learn the harp. And it was actually interesting because I was working in a school teaching Polish.
Yeah.
And then my principal, he asked me, what is your dream? And I said, my dream is to play the harp. And he said, like, okay, if we buy you a harp, will you teach the children? It's the same question. And I said, yes, of course. So they bought me a harp. I chose the harp online, which is now there are tutorials, what harps not to buy, how to choose your first harp. And, but it was 10 years ago. So that there was no YouTube tutorials on learning to play the harp. And so so I got the harp. My first harp was made in Pakistan. And it doesn't sound so well, but that was my husband's advice. Buy a cheap one and then you see. So after some time, I bought Lucille and then Cecilia. And I watched also a film on the most common mistake of self-taught harpists, which I decided, yes, that's just what I do. So I signed up for Irish traditional music organization called the Scioltori Erin, and I studied harp there for 2 years. And but I wrote music on the harp before enrolling for that course. So that was just my
beautiful.
Well,
it's perfect lead, and that was really well summarized. I appreciate it. A screenwriting teacher told me great film, great art is when you can clearly see the intention of the maker. Kubrick says the opposite. Great art is when you can clearly not see the intention of the maker. When you're writing a piece of music, your own lyrics and music, what role does intention play in your creative process?
The intention doesn't come in the shape of the work. The intention comes as a thought before you do the work. The work comes on its own. Like I always was singing and stuff, but the first official kind of hit song that I wrote, I was 19. And yes, it was a song written thinking about one particular guy, of course. But the work itself kind of flown down on me. I wrote that song in an hour.
Yeah.
And I was scared it is the best thing I did in life, Wow. But then after that, I wrote many, many, many songs. And okay, I tell you one quote. Art is not about thinking something up. It is about bringing something down. It's tapping into this creative source, however you call it. People give it different names. But intention is behind everything you do.
Yeah.
Intention is very important, but it is separate from artistic work.
So that was good. Now, Duchamp said there's no art without an audience. How much are you thinking of your listener when you're writing a song?
I'm not thinking about my listener at all. I write it for myself.
Yeah. What is the... Go ahead.
Performance is with thinking about audience, not the process of creating itself.
But that's beautiful. Performance. Oh, good. Because I'm going to read you, because you're a performer too. You perform this stuff live, right? Okay.
Sometimes.
Okay. Yeah, sometimes. So, well, here's Ruth Draper, very important performance artist. The key is to bring the audience up onto the stage and into the scene with you. It is they who must give you even more than you give them in the way of imagination and creative power. How do you acquire? How does that happen? How do you do that?
Yeah, I can agree with that. I completely agree with this. Yeah. How do you do that?
Yeah.
it's tapping into the soul, really.
Yeah.
It's the connection you make.
Yeah.
You know, I hate artists who sing with their eyes closed when they're on stage.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, well, they can do it at some point, you know. They can close their eyes if they're really kind of, but when they're already in that connection, but when they start and they look down on the notes or song lyrics, I don't
Yeah.
feel that. So I was
Yeah.
performing today, actually. Before we met, I was on a art event. There was a poetry competition that I was judging. I'm not judgmental, but I know good poetry.
Yeah.
And, you know, there are rules in art that people might follow.
Yeah.
And, but there was a poem that didn't win the competition, didn't even get like a extra prize or something, but it kind of went into my head and I sang it out. After 2 hours of discussion with other judges on this poetry judging thing, on the laureates, like I just sat down and I sang out this poem. And then I was performing it today, kind of, you know, very shy, and suddenly people started singing the chorus with me. Everybody was singing, and the impression, I think that the connection of everyone in the room was amazing. And the girl who wrote that poem, she was crying with happiness.
Oh, yeah.
And that was something big. That was something really, really meaningful, that you want to go through life, you know, having something like that. I was singing that, and the musicians that were in the room, they joined with me, and everybody joined, you know. That was just that kind. I came up with it this week. It was somebody's poem that I really, really felt, and then everybody else felt it too.
Yeah. Well, that's the word connection. You really answered the Ruth Draper well. So my friend says the 3 T's of music are technique, theory, and taste. You know, you learned how to play the harp, you knew the structure, that's the theory. How does one acquire taste?
This is something you grow up with. Once you come to the world, yeah, it takes a village to raise a child. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is the people you have in the immediate family, but then it is the people that you have in wider family. And then it is the people you meet who are your tutors, mentors, and idols that shape you. The whole society, actually.
It's
It
really
is
good.
the meandering way, you know, through everything you encounter. I like to play with fashion as well. You know, I buy fashion magazines and I do cutouts and mood boards, and yeah, my friends always know to ring me when they have like a party coming. You know, they have to dress up. Justyna, help! Yeah, I know it's not very high culture. Well, fashion can be high, like really. It can be expressive and yeah, but it's not everything like.
Along with this word taste, McLuhan says an interesting thought, and I'd like to get your feelings on it. Song is slowed down speech. The reason cultures have different musical taste is ultimately connected to language difference. Any comment?
Language difference, yes. There was also a quote, I don't know who was it from, but you live as many times as many languages you know.
Yeah.
Every language is a different life. It is a different way of thinking. It is a different connection in brains, connection between hands, between man and woman. You know, everything is different. Even that, you know, astral bodies have different sex in different languages. I don't know if you know that. You probably do.
Astral bodies have what?
Have different sexes in different languages.
Oh, have different sexes.
Mm-hmm. So like the moon in English is female, isn't it?
Yeah.
Sister moon. There was a
Yeah.
song like that.
Yeah.
But in Polish, it's a he.
Oh, wow.
You know that song, "The moon is a powerful lover." And for me, it was always male moon. And then I came to Ireland and I found out that the moon is a she. Like, how? Why? Sister moon. What? And the sun in Polish has no sex. It's it, like a child. The sun does not have a sex. Well, Venus, of
Wow.
course, is female, but then it's just complicated, you know. So this is a simple thing, but it shows you the difference in, you know, receiving the world, like how societies see this differently. Like for me, ship is male. For English speaking people, ship is a woman. Like, so many metaphors are kind of irrelevant in different languages.
Yeah.
And what you say
What's
about the speech,
Go
that
ahead.
song is a slowed down speech. It's not slowed down speech. It's a different speech. It's a
Yeah.
different language. It's a
Yeah.
different language. It has different accents. It has different emphasis. So it is a different language. It's not slowed down speech.
What's more fundamental, language or music?
Fundamental, like, definitely music is more fun.
That is a good answer. Tell me an instrumental that makes you laugh.
Instrumental.
Yeah, no words. A song that makes you laugh. There's no words. It's an instrumental.
It's hard to find. Well, the Muppets make me laugh, and the Benny Hill show, you know, like
The Benny Hill theme song is an answer I often get. Very
but
good.
the Muppets as well.
Yeah.
I do it on the children's balls when we
Yeah.
put it, like, and then we do some kind of. But I don't think music makes me laugh very often. You know.
Yeah.
It's not something music does. I have the whole playlist that first I called sensual instrumental, and these were the like the instrumental pieces that made me feel my senses.
Yeah.
You know, but then I googled sensual instrumental and it was full of, you know, erotic trash. So I said, okay, I'll call it thrilling instrumental, because
Yeah.
that's just like when I hear those songs. I actually make a lot of playlists on Spotify. I love kind of categorizing music and putting it into different playlists. It's kind of like curating your life.
Exactly. Oh, it's amazing. It's beautiful. Mixtapes. So
Mixtapes, yeah.
Mixtapes. So Aaron Copland says the four elements, main ingredients of music are melody, harmony, rhythm, and tone color. How do you integrate those four in your composing a song, making music?
You
What's
obviously haven't studied music. There's more of them.
Well, no, I know there's more, and I'm just saying Copeland has narrowed it down to four. In regards to those four, you can add more, but I mean, first of all, just in regards to those four, does one play a bigger role for you personally? How do you integrate those four?
No, there needs to be a feeling. Most of all, there needs to be a feeling, you know? Melody is not a problem. Rhythm is not a problem. It just needs to be multi-dimensional. It can't be flat. You know, when I see music as well, it's like, you know, you have this inner. You can be like, there's a word for it when you have different senses trying together.
Synesthesia.
Yes, synesthesia. I am synesthetic when it comes to music.
Yeah.
Because like rhythm is horizontal, yeah, it's
Yeah.
timing. Melody is vertical, but it doesn't work like that. It's not a cross. It's kind of, you get those dimensions from everywhere.
It's a wave, yeah, or it's a Mobius strip. Yeah.
Yeah, yes and no. Like working with the harp, I could see the string, and some people say that string vibrates like that, one way or the other. I'd say, yeah, it does make the Mobius sign, like the infinity sign. It's like that, but it also, not only it goes this way, like making this kind of 8, but also it goes up and down as well. So we don't know how it works. Like there's physics of sounds, yeah. There's those lovely experiments showing, magnesium piece, those little tiny bits on water or on a speaker, yeah.
Yeah.
But the important thing is not the construction, it's the feeling. Once you feel it's right, it's all there. I recorded one song on my own. It's very difficult, to be singing and recording at the same time. It's like, I need help with that. But I recorded guitar first, and then the harp, and then one vocal. And then I recorded like, okay, glockenspiel, let's have fun with it. And then I recorded the second vocal on top of the first vocal. And then I put on the headphones and I listened to it, and I like, yeah, that is it. And I didn't worry about composition or style or structure. I just worried that it wasn't enough until it was enough.
Yeah.
That fifth layer that I put on, that last vocal, and then I heard it and like, this is it. So I think, I need to mention, my godfather was a composer. And I only realized that when I came back to music, like really music, like when I said I'm an artist. And and then he died, and I'm just listening to his music now, and it's amazing that he left this heritage. And that song that I was saying about putting 5 layers together and saying that's it, I have sent it to him. I think it was about 6 months before he died. But then he said, I'm glad you found it. And it was the biggest compliment that somebody could say to me.
That is a beautiful story. So Thelonious Monk says that music is math. So, mathematics. But he also said there are no wrong notes. Any comment?
Are there wrong numbers in mathematics? No. That's why I agree with that 100%. I love Thelonious Monk, and music is mathematics. That's why I had trouble with mathematics in my high school in the last grade, but I wanted to have a good certificate. So I took grinds from maths. And then my friend who was teaching me maths, he said, okay, you will pay me when you get an A, which is the highest note, like 5 in Polish, yeah? So yeah, he did the grinds with me. And then I ended up having better results than he did. And I said, musicians do maths, really, because we just come to the same result in a different way.
Yeah.
I always say that to kids. Music is maths. You have to count all the time, but the magic happens when you stop counting.
Stop counting. Beautiful. Because this is back to Monk. My friend says that Thelonious Monk heard all the same notes Charlie Parker heard, but only decided to play some of them. And it's a really good, metaphor for this idea. Miles Davis talks about the space between notes. How do you navigate silence in dynamics when not to play?
Oh, this is getting into a lovely direction. You need silence between them, just as you need the zero sometimes. You can't always have numbers. You have to have the zero too. You have to have the empty space between them. Like, just, you cannot be happy all the time. You have to experience some suffering to appreciate happiness, to recognize it. So that's the same with music. You cannot have always sounds, because you're going to get deaf, So yeah.
But Justyna, how do you know when not to play?
You
How do
feel it.
you feel it? Yeah.
How do you know when stop talking? That's it.
So McLuhan says everything we invent extends some humanness, like a human sensorium, he says. Knife and fork extends our teeth. The shutter in a camera extends our eyelid. Even a non-tangible religion or philosophy might extend consciousness. What does the harp extend for you? What humanness?
Both gut feeling and the heart.
The heart and gut, yeah.
The heart, and that's why I call myself the Hartist, because that's
Yeah.
out of there.
I spoke with the filmmaker Michael Apted many years ago, and 40 years ago, and I asked him, why do rock video editors feel so obliged to edit fast? Most people don't know Abel Gance invented rapid montage in 1922 in France, but in the 80s it flourished because of MTV and caused Marty Scorsese to say, I cut my films faster because of MTV. So Michael Apted told me, because we've learned to take in information faster. So I asked this with a bias. Can we literally learn to take information in faster, or are we just brainwashed to believe we can?
I don't know. You know what? I always wanted to read faster. I heard there are courses to teach you to read faster, but then I have this feeling that if I read faster, I lose something.
Yeah.
I am into slow living. I am really like this kind of recent fashion of slow cooking, slow fashion, slow reading. I am into that. I think we have to kind of slow down a bit, You move too fast. You got to make the moment last. Sitting down, couple of
Good
stones.
song.
Yeah.
Feeling groovy. So is it literally possible to multitask?
It is. It is.
Yeah.
Like I'm playing music and I'm thinking about all this stuff. Yeah.
What was the motive of the cave artist?
Gut feeling, the need.
Yes.
If I don't do it, I'll explode.
What's
because
more,
I can.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. What's more important, conviction or compromise?
Conviction.
Wow.
Definitely.
You've accomplished a lot. How do you rate these three elements? Luck, skill, and ambition. What played the biggest role, second and third?
Fuerte, suerte, muerte, yeah?
Translate, please. I don't know.
No, that's Spanish. Fuerte, suerte, muerte. No, I don't know. I never read that, but I just found these three words and I put them together. Fuerte is force, so the ambition. Suerte is luck. And muerte is death. So, yeah, all of them are important.
Yeah.
Sometimes I do feel I write or I create to not be forgotten, to not die. So that's the muerte. Sometimes I write because I know something needs to be said and it can't be said otherwise. And sometimes I write because it just comes. That's suerte, yeah? So,
well, that's a perfect lead into this question. Two of my film heroes say their mantras are ignore yourself. There's no self-expression. In fact, the great jazz pianist Cecil Taylor says, I'm just a vehicle and this stuff just comes through me. It's a stupid question. I know it's both and it depends, but just a prompt for your thoughts. Is art making, music making more self-expression or more you're a vehicle for whatever technology, cultures, and environments are dominant?
Oh, I thought I'll be with the second one, but then you went with the vehicles and technology and all that, and I'm not into this stuff. So, yeah, as I told before, it's more about taking something down. It's more about tapping into it,
Yeah.
Of course, when we try to push our ego, when we try to really construct something, it's not it. Like, too much ambition. Ego is ambition. And if you want to, now I will sit down and create. There's no good things coming out of this attitude. Like, yeah.
But can art making be egoless?
Well, there is always an element of the person who taps down, So in the end, we are a vessel, and it needs to be known whether we are a glass vase or we are ceramic vase, because then it's more possible for the receiver, for the person who comes across it, to understand.
Yeah. T.S. Eliot said poetry is outing your inner dialogue. What language is your inner dialogue in?
All the languages I can find. Like I even wrote a poem in German when I was studying German about the chestnut tree. So whatever comes my way, I love learning languages. And the fact I'm in Ireland 15 years and people ask me, do you think in Polish or in English? And I say, whatever comes my way. Like,
yeah.
It's just words, it's just the means, like of like if you say, what instrument would you play it on? And it's like, I could play it on anything, whenever it tickles my fancy. I can take the flute, and many times I have like sound notes. I take a theme, a song, and I play it on the piano, and then I try it on the guitar, and then I try it on the flute, and it's like, oh, it sounds better on this one. Like, let's try it that way. I translate from one into another, and that's fun.
Yeah. Lewis Carroll says, I believe as many as 6 impossible things before breakfast. Have you believed in anything impossible lately?
I believe in God, and He's impossible.
Tell me one major element of your creativeness that's changed, and one major element that's stayed the same in the years you've been being creative.
Major element that has changed. Well, I'm still me. I'm still this creative, searching child, really. I still feel nothing's changed. Since I was 5 and wrote my first poem, I still look for expression, I still sing to myself when I'm washing dishes, and I still have music in my head when I'm just walking across the park, so it's still the same.
That's good. Moshe Feldenkrais works with healing and movement. He says it's literally possible to identify a weakness and incorporate it to become a strength, rather than we're normally taught to overcome a weakness. Tell me a weakness you turned into a strength.
My time managing.
Okay.
I'm always late. Late, and people don't like it about me. But then I read that being late is actually a sign of optimism, because you think you can fit so much into your time. You think, oh, I still can make this and make this, and then mostly I fit it all, but then comes with the price. So when I was young, my parents were always late as well, and we were late for the balls, we were late for school, for play school. Sometimes it was a cause of kind of unease, but it wasn't such a big worry of mine, you know. And then I met a person who said, well, like being late is a bit of anarchy where you can allow yourself, you know.
Yeah.
And then I met my husband after all these years, who said actually that being late is disrespecting the person that's waiting for you. And
Yeah.
that kind of put it into different light. So that was the biggest change. So I do fight with my being late by trying to do less and organizing time better.
It's really
So,
well put.
yeah.
Super well put. I have a musician I'm working with, so I'm going to have him listen to those few minutes. And I love what you said. It gave you a big picture. It was like comprehensive. Thank you for that. In Utah, Phillips is a folk singing activist. He says anarchy is making rules for yourself and not other people. Who's entitled to make the rules?
I don't like rules. I like inventing my own rules, but I don't impose them to others, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is perception reality?
Subjective reality.
Yeah.
It is. Personal, but reality.
Anger can be a productive emotion when fill in the blank.
No, it can't.
Can't.
No.
Very good.
Anger is nothing good.
Yeah. What's the most significant difference between men and women, physical aside?
They don't have period. There
No,
is
that's physical. Physical.
No, okay, but apart from physical things, every difference between man and a woman comes from a physical point, you know?
Yeah.
The thing that they don't have periods affects that I wouldn't be a president because I would have few days where I didn't want to do anything, not mentioning standing in front of a nation, you know?
Yeah.
Like, but my aunt, she was a candidate for president. So yeah, so because my great grandfather was a president, and then my other great grandfather was a prime minister, and their children got married, and that's me here 6 generations later.
Wow.
So anyway, but no, I really feel like there is no difference in the mind, you know, because I have a lot of masculine essence in being creative and in organizing, and I think I like sometimes to make my own rules and, you know, put things in order, and that's my masculine side. And the mathematics that I like doing, you know, that's I love Star Wars, and I love things like I really wanted to get to know my husband and read books that he read, and they are considered masculine, like, you know, like men's stuff, like, and I'm like, I love my dad and I love my husband, so why wouldn't I be interested in masculine stuff? And I love masculine perfume. I think there is nothing like, there's no separation between masculine and feminine perfume. I actually compose my own perfumes because I like doing it. And some people think that sometimes my scents are kind of, you smell like a man. And like, how do a man smells like?
Right.
That's societal, the thing that we associate lavender and cypress and vetiver with men. Like, why? I love vetiver, and it's like, why?
Yeah.
Like rose, this is not a feminine smell because there are thousands of different roses. Like,
exact. Justyna, what caused matriarchy?
What caused matriarchy? The ability to have children, I think.
Yeah.
That is power. That is amazing, incredible power. And I think men do kind of envy us in some point.
Oh, yeah. Okay, this is a statement that I'd love to hear your reaction to. You create what you resist. I'm not saying you, Justyna, one creates what one resists. Bob Goldthwait, the comedian, morphed it into you are what you hate. And James Joyce said it's a curious thing how your mind is super saturated with the religion in which you say you disbelieve. Louis Buñuel said, thank God I'm an atheist. So your thoughts on this idea, you create what you resist. Any thoughts?
Yeah, you have to get out of your comfort zone sometimes to create things. And as I said, I am very religious, and religion fascinates me because I have refused it for some time, and then I came back to it, and I treat it as a gift, as a present that I got, and I can make use of it. And I am looking at modern pop culture, and I see all the blasphemous pieces of music that are sung by 4-year-old girls, and I'm sad.
Yeah.
You know, that people use religious language to say the wrong things to unconscious people.
Yeah.
And that makes me sad recently.
Yeah. Well, we got about 10 more minutes. This has truly been enlightening. I really appreciate it. These are 5 more questions from Alan Watts. They're short in a few words. First, who started it all?
God.
Are we going to make it?
Yes.
Where do we put it?
On paper.
Who's cleaning it up?
Our children.
Is it serious?
Very much so.
Super. Okay, that was Alan Watts. Now back to our script is, how do you find peace of mind?
I pray.
Yeah.
I go to the sea as well. I go somewhere where I am small. And then my big worries seem to shrink. I really do love hiking. And I've done 2 mountain skills courses. So I know the Wicklow Mountains like this little finger. I love them. Yeah.
It's beautiful.
And I swim in the Irish Sea, which is not very warm or friendly, but it is kind of a painkiller, to be honest. Like, I have very bad rotator cuff, probably from playing the harp and carrying it around on my shoulders. So yeah, I went to swim last Thursday and to the sea, and friend offered me the wetsuit. So I put it on and I went in, and I was like, I can't swim because my shoulder doesn't work in it. So I took it off. I just went in my swimsuit, like normal, regular swimsuit, and then I could just swim. That coldness of the water was really, really refreshing, and it was painful, but it was the painkiller at the same time. I can't describe it.
Yeah. No, you describe. I totally sense. My grandmother, I was from Michigan, and it's cold in the winters, and she always slept with her window open a little, and the cold air is what invigorates.
That's what I do now. Yeah.
Yep. If you were walking down the street today and you met yourself as a 12-year-old, what would you say to your 12-year-old self?
Make more music.
Wow.
Make more music. Make music every day. Don't be scared of it.
I like that mantra. Make more music.
I didn't do enough music because it was revalidated. It was like every lesson in the music school was kind of like, oh, did you do your homework? How long did you play? Did you learn this piece? Did you learn that bit? And like, it's not it. I've been studying piano for 6 years, and nobody actually told me I can turn music on, sit by the piano, and play with the music I love. I only discovered that as an adult person. And that's why I started teaching piano. I taught piano for 2 years before COVID, and I watched children's brains just sparkle when I said, like, you can play with your favorite music, put it on your phone, put the phone on your piano, play with your favorite music, like how you feel it. And it's like, what? Can you do that?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting what you said, because Ben Ratliff is a music writer. He says, I mean sound as it's long functioned among jazz players as a mystical term of art, as in every musician finally needs a sound, a full and sensible embodiment of their artistic personality, such that it can be heard at best in a single note. So he would say Miles Davis is fragile and pointed. John Coltrane is slightly undercooked and urgent. If music you respected was describing your sound in a couple words, what 2 words would you be honored and said, oh, they got it? They understand my sound.
Okay. Adventurous, but sensitive.
Yeah. That's good. Which way should toilet paper come off the roll, over or under?
Over. That is a funny question. But I know the exact answer.
Yeah. If a publisher was to release your autobiography off the top of your head, what would the title be?
What is it? Can I eat it?
Oh, that's good. They want to scent the glue in the binding. What smell?
They want what?
The publisher wants to scent the glue in the binding of your autobiography. What smell?
Oh, that would be my composed perfume. Definitely.
Oh, very good. If a statue was built in your honor, where would you want it displayed, and what would it be made of?
Could be made of recycled musical instruments that nobody's using anymore.
I like that.
And I'd love it to be somewhere in Dublin on Eustace Street. That's where I used to busk, just opposite the Irish Film Institute.
Oh, nice. You're a busker. I love it.
Yeah, I was a busker. I was busking like maybe 5 times there, and I loved the experience.
Oh,
but
that is
like, I do deserve a roof over my head.
Tell me something good you never had and you never want.
I never want. Like,
it's good, you never had it, but you never want it.
Money.
That's it. The three answers I get the most are money, fame, and heroin.
Oh no, I wouldn't say heroin is good. Like,
well, some people do. So,
okay,
3 more.
So I wasn't very original with the money thing. Like,
no, it's not about originality. It's about how people feel and think. It's good. I like when I can say how there's a consensus thinking and how there's different thinking. It gives a bigger picture. So 3 more and we're out of here. What's the cultural shift you see developing today that inspires you?
That inspires me.
Yeah.
The accessibility to music. Like,
yeah.
It's amazing. I can tap on. I don't have to buy records anymore. I can say subscribe to a streaming service and have all the music I can think of, because my brain is filled with music. And the minute I step out of home and do like 10 steps, then I have a song in my head. And whether it's my song or somebody else's song, I can turn it on and get it in my headphones and just go with it and find out why was it in my head. That's the best part. I get onto the train in the morning, because in the end I succumbed and I found a job. I work 9 to 6 every day. I like the job. It's lets me dream. But anyway, going there and back, I'm on the train and I always listen to music. And yeah, it's the fun time.
Fun time, believe me. I love it. Thornton Wilder said, art is confession. Art is the secret told, but art is not only the desire to tell one's secret, it's the desire to tell it and hide it at the same time. Justyna, you've laid your cards on the table for over 90 minutes. I'm not insinuating you haven't already answered this. What's it really all about for you?
Yeah, sharing the secret.
Sharing the secret, yeah. That's good. What
sharing
gives
something beautiful
Yeah,
that I discovered.
yeah. That's good. What gives you the most optimism?
God, like
Yeah,
really,
yeah,
we Christians, we should be optimistic because technically we can overcome death.
yeah. Well, it's
And
interesting. The first question is, what's the best thing for a human being? And Wilhelm Reich said the best thing for a human being is another human being. And the last question is what they asked Groucho Marx at the end of his life. They said, what gives you the most optimism? And he said, other people. So it's really been great connecting with another person. And Justyna, I really appreciate how articulate you are and how filled with life and love, and especially your musical sensibility really inspires me. Thank you so much.
thank you so much. I wanted to thank you for all the quotes you have there, and some of them were my like favorite names since teenage years, like Jonathan Carroll, or I don't know, like many names you
Yeah,
said that were kind of my inspiration. So, or Eliot, or or Joyce, or Beckett. Like, yeah,
yeah.
thank you for that. Thank you for all the knowledge and actually wisdom you also share with other people.
Well, thank you. I hope we can meet in person someday and jam and play some music
I
together.
actually looked up Venice, Florida, in my company's database, and maybe someday I'll just fly there. And
But
yeah.
the correction is we're Venice, California.
Oh, sorry.
Right. That is
Okay.
that is all
Oh
right.
yeah, Venice. Yeah, I see that now. I don't know why Venice, Florida got into my head.
Well, that's easy. There's a Venice, Italy, there's a Venice, Florida, and there's Venice,
Yeah,
California, and there's probably a few other Venices. But the cool thing is we've had amazing history of buskers, street musicians, and really, it is it's the place when people come to Los Angeles, more people come to Venice than they do to
right.
Disneyland.
I have
Yeah,
to come with Lucille. I have to bring her there.
yeah, it would be so fun. Thank you so much,
Thank
and
you, Jerry.
even though I'm going to hit the end broadcast button, I hope this never ends and we can keep talking forever and ever.